Okay, hi everybody, welcome to the Redbridge Science channel. Today we're going to be doing an experiment where we react different metals with water. And the learning objectives are, I want you to be able to plan a fair test to see which metal out of iron, copper, zinc, magnesium reacts best with water. I want you to be able to start to create a league of reactivity, sometimes called the reactivity series. And hopefully as well we can get some word equations for the reactions. Okay, so I'm going to put my goggles on now so that we can start this experiment. And what we're going to be doing is the independent variable is the thing that we're going to investigate, and in this case it's about which metal. So I've got four metals here: copper, zinc, iron and magnesium. And we want to know which is going to react the best. So this is the independent variable, the type of metal. But there are control variables as well. Control variables are things that you must control to make sure that it's a fair test. So the first thing that we're doing to control this is to make sure that we have got the same amount of metal here. Okay? So I've already prepared four test tubes. Okay, we've labelled them up with the symbols. So we've got copper, Cu, zinc, Zn, iron, Fe, and magnesium, Mg. And I'm going to be, in a moment, putting those metals into the tubes. Now, another thing that we're going to be doing is controlling the amount of universal indicators that we're going to use. So I'm going to try to add into these tubes 3 drips of universal indicator. So this is the second thing that I'm controlling to try to make sure that it's a fair test. Okay. And the third thing I'm going to control is the volume of water. Okay. So I've already prepared here, we've got 5 centimetres cubed of water. So I'm going to be putting the same volume of water into each of the tubes. Now, at the moment, the universal indicator, is green, and that's because I actually spilt a little bit there. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more. The universal indicator will turn green, and that's because obviously water is neutral. So things that we're controlling: the amount of metal, the amount of universal indicator, and the volume of water. And so now we're ready to put our metals in. So copper into the first one, zinc into the second, iron into the third one, and magnesium into the fourth. And we want to see which of those is going to react the best with the water. Now this experiment is going to take 2 or 3 days. The final variable is called the dependent variable, and the dependent variable is essentially the result. It's going to depend upon what we've done. And so the result we're looking for is which metal has reacted the best. So we're going to be looking for signs of a reaction. Now, I'm not expecting you to wait for 2 or 3 days, so here's one that we prepared earlier. And this is what has happened, okay? So, I'm going to hold these a little nearer the camera. So first of all, this is the copper, and it still appears to me to be green. No real sign that the copper itself has changed either. The zinc, okay, now that's not quite the same shade of green, possibly slightly bluish hint of green, and the zinc appears to have some patterning to it, as though perhaps it's begun to react. So look at the third one. The third one is iron. Oh, yes, okay, now there's no way that's green. It's definitely turned a kind of a bluish shade of green, and the iron has, well, it's actually begun to rust. It's becoming something called iron oxide. Okay, I don't know whether you can see it. I'm going to give the tube a little shake as well. You can probably see some of those rusty bits floating around in there. And the last one, the magnesium, well, that's a completely different colour. It's actually a shade of bluish, almost purple colour to that. Okay, very dark. I'm just going to hold those up against the screen as well, so you might be able to see the colours a little clearer. Okay, So, hopefully now you see what happens after a couple of days. Hopefully you might be able to start thinking about, well, which of those has reacted the best, and maybe start to put them into order of reactivity. So could you create a league table where perhaps the one at the top would be the most reactive and the one at the bottom the least reactive? Okay. Good luck with that, and I will now be setting you some tasks to go with this video. Okay, thank you.